Many United States citizens are citizens because they were born in the United States or born to a parent who was a United States citizen. Other United States citizens have their citizenship because they or their parents went through the naturalization process. Every year, more than 500,000 immigrants across the United States become citizens through the naturalization process, which traces its roots back to the Naturalization Act of 1790. Let's begin by talking about the present-day journey to become a naturalized citizen. To become a naturalized citizen, an immigrant to the United States must first apply for permanent resident status to the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, a federal government agency. This is commonly known as receiving a green card. There are several routes through which a person may be eligible to become a permanent resident. One of the most common ways is to be sponsored for this immigration status by a close family member, such as a parent or spouse, or by an employer. After a USCIS grants an applicant permanent status, the person must generally wait 5 years before becoming a citizen. There are exceptions to this rule. For example, if an individual is married and living with a United States citizen, he or she may apply for naturalization after 3 years as a permanent resident. An applicant for citizenship must be at least 18 years old and a person of good moral character. The applicant must then wait for the case to be processed, which may take several months. Once this is completed, the applicant is scheduled for a citizenship interview. This part of the process includes a civics test about United States history and government, and an English test and interview that assesses reading, writing, and speaking skills, although some applicants may be exempt from some of these requirements. Applicants often invest significant time and effort in learning English and civics to prepare for these interviews. If the applicant passes the test and interview, and the application is approved, the person is then scheduled to take the oath of allegiance. The oath of allegiance may be administered by a USCIS officer or by a federal judge. The courts of the Second Circuit, which include all federal courts in New York, Vermont, and Connecticut, welcome tens of thousands of new citizens through their courthouse doors for hundreds of naturalization ceremonies each year. In 2019 alone, over 60,000 new citizens were naturalized in over 250 ceremonies across the circuit. These new citizens emigrated to the United States from around the globe. At least one judge presides over every judicial naturalization ceremony, administering the oath of allegiance and welcoming new citizens. Many judges note that presiding over naturalization ceremonies is one of the highlights of their judicial role, and that the opportunity to welcome new citizens is one of the most important privileges of the federal judicial office. During a naturalization ceremony, new citizens from different countries of origin come together in front of a presiding judge to take the oath of allegiance, in which they pledge to support and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, a truly powerful moment for all in the room. In taking the oath of allegiance, new citizens undertake a serious commitment to the responsibilities of citizenship. The oath goes like this. I hereby declare, on oath, that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen. That I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law. That I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by the law. That I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law. And that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. During most naturalization ceremonies, one of the first acts that the new citizens perform together is to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here in the Second Circuit, we have judges who are themselves naturalized citizens. For example, the Honorable Margot K. Brody, United States District Judge for the Eastern District of New York, from Antigua and Barbuda. The Honorable Guido Calabresi, United States Circuit Judge for the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, from Italy. The Honorable Peggy Kuo, United States Magistrate Judge for the Eastern District of New York. From Taiwan. Judge Kuo has remarked to new citizens, "Like you, I am an immigrant. My parents brought me here from Taiwan when I was 3 years old because they wanted a better life for themselves and their children. My parents believed that America would give them opportunities not possible anywhere else. And they were right. I am grateful that they took the first step that made it possible for me to become a judge here today." The Honorable Denny Chin, United States Circuit Judge for the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, from Hong Kong. Judge Chin has written of his immigration experience. "I now sit in the magnificent Thurgood Marshall United States Courthouse in Lower Manhattan, in chambers once occupied by Justice Marshall himself when he was a judge in our court in the 1960s. I know that none of this would have happened if my grandfather and parents had not worked so hard for so long, had they not become United States citizens. Today on Constitution and Citizenship Day, we celebrate these judges and their successes and reflect on the journey that their families and all naturalized citizens have made." Many judges in the circuit are the grandchildren of naturalized citizens. At a special naturalization ceremony to celebrate Constitution and Citizenship Day in 2019, the Honorable I. Leo Glasser, United States District Judge for the Eastern District of New York, welcomed new citizens with the following powerful and inspiring remarks with reference to his grandparents.
On July 4th of 1776, the Declaration of Independence was proclaimed. And the first 2 or 3 lines of that declaration are very stirring, very moving. They are, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." It was those words, those self-evident truths, that encourage persons in other countries, persons who aren't treated equally, persons who aren't free to express their own personhood. It was those words that gave them the courage to come here. They brought with them their skills, their intelligence, their artistry, their genius, and their muscle. In every true sense of the word, we are a country of immigrants. In my mind's eye, I see a young man who came here well over 100 years ago and stood in a room which I imagined looked like this. And he raised his right hand as you did and took the oath of citizenship. That young man was my grandfather. And as I look out at you, I wonder which one of your grandchildren will someday be standing where I'm standing and saying, "Welcome, welcome, citizens of the United States." Thank you.
As you just heard, Judge Glasser wonders who, in that room full of new citizens, would have a grandchild who could one day be a federal judge presiding over a naturalization ceremony. Sometimes, naturalization ceremonies are held at special locations. For example, in 2016, as part of the celebration of the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service, then Chief Judge Robert Katzman, United States Circuit Judge for the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, gave congratulatory remarks at the largest naturalization ceremony ever held on Ellis Island, which is located in New York Harbor.
My fellow citizens, how good it is to say that. Our country, this great country, is even stronger, even greater than it was moments ago, because you are now our citizens. How fortunate all of us are to have you here, contributing your hopes, your aspirations, your skills, your heritages, your cultures, your music, your literature, your food to the tapestry of this nation. The American story is your story. We are a grand quilt of cultures and diversity. As Director Coven said, you number some 300 from all over the world, from some 53 countries. In this, what I understand is the largest collective naturalization ceremony in the history of Ellis Island. Think of those like you who came through this island, Ellis Island, the gateway of their hopes, often different in their cultures, color, and religion and personal circumstance, often with just pennies to their name. However different they might have been from one another, they all shared a dream, your dream, a dream of a better life in this country, the repository, indeed, the engine of their dreams. They embraced a country whose Statue of Liberty proclaims, in the words of the poet Emma Lazarus, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free." Many of you have come at great sacrifice. I know something about the immigrant experience, being the son of a refugee from Nazi Germany and the grandson of Russian immigrants. I can still hear the accents and voices of my youth. Excuse me. Of family members like you who believed in this country, who with their toil, their sweat, their loyalty, and conviction celebrated being citizens of the United States, who made lives here, who had families of which I am a beneficiary, and of which you and your children will be beneficiaries. Let your children and their children know your stories, be enriched by your cultures, your past, as they enjoy their lives as U.S. citizens.
Over the past few years, naturalization ceremonies in the Second Circuit have been held outside of the courthouses, bringing our course to our communities. Those locations included schools, such as Neshobe Elementary School in Brandon, Vermont, Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York, Francis Walsh Intermediate School in Branford, Connecticut, and Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut. Sporting arenas, such as Falcon Park, the Auburn Doubleday Stadium in Auburn, New York, and the Hartford Yard Goats Dunkin' Donuts Park Stadium in Hartford, Connecticut. And historically and culturally significant locations, such as Sagamore Hill National Historic Site in Oyster Bay, New York, Wyckoff House Museum in Brooklyn, New York, Fort Stanwix in Rome, New York, Harriet Tubman National Historic Park in Auburn, New York, Women's Rights National Historic Park in Seneca Falls, New York, Genesee Country Village and Museum in Mumford, New York, Fort Niagara in Porter, New York, Submarine Force Library and Museum and Historic Ship Nautilus in Groton, Connecticut, Bushnell Center of Performing Arts in Hartford, Connecticut, Ethan Allen Homestead Museum in Burlington, Vermont, Calvin Coolidge Historic Homestead in Plymouth Notch, Vermont, and onboard steamboat Ticonderoga at the Shelbourne Museum, Shelbourne, Vermont. During the COVID-19 pandemic, naturalization ceremonies were conducted at USCIS offices with a federal judge participating remotely. We hope this presentation gives you a sense of the serious commitment to the United States undertaken by our naturalized citizens. They bravely left their own countries to live in a new country, drawn here for any of a myriad of reasons: work, education, safety, aspirations, even romance. To become citizens, they qualified for permanent resident status, studied English, paid taxes, learned about United States history and government, demonstrated their good moral character, completed paperwork, and successfully passed their interviews with USCIS. They committed themselves to support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States. Their histories, their stories, their sacrifices, their achievements. Their dedication to the United States are inspirations to all United States citizens. They encourage us to treasure our own stories and that of our nation, and to value the liberties and responsibilities set forth in our Constitution. As Judge Margot K. Brody so eloquently states in reflecting on her personal observations of the naturalization process, becoming a United States citizen is a privilege and an honor.